your hosts, Robert Evers and Michael Brooks. Please stay tuned for a good episode. Peace.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be longer than that, man.
What's up?
I was gonna let my hair down and everything.
Yeah, man. So, how's the new year treating you?
Oh, pretty good. Just normal old work stuff.
Oh, man. Same here, man. Been going at it pretty hard here lately.
Oh yeah, does it look like this first year is gonna be busy? First part of
Yeah,
the
I'm
year.
busy, 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 busy.
Last time I talked to you, you said you had a couple things that were not close by, or maybe even out of state.
Well, I got a few jobs that are over an hour, about 2 hours away. Um, some mini storages that I'm putting fencing around and gates and PDK management system.
I gotcha. How are you liking those PDKs?
They're pretty good. They're easy to install. They're not difficult. I mean, you really ain't got to do nothing but just make sure you hook the wires up right. That's it.
If you can install them, then anybody can install them.
That's right.
Well, for everybody that's watching, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure that you do. We got more videos on most of the videos on the YouTube channel as opposed to on our Facebook or anything like that. And I just uploaded these two videos. Let's see. One was the Fluke wire tracer, and it's a BK120. So what it'll allow you to do is find a breaker. And the video is actually pretty cool because I actually go out into the shop and I go out into the shop and test it. So go over
Oh,
to the
that's
breaker
cool.
panel. And it's one thing I've always wanted to buy, but the ones I've looked at are super expensive. So
Oh,
this one is not as expensive. And then I've also did a US Automatic sent me in their new keypad.
yeah, that's
So
cool.
I pulled that out. You don't do too much US Automatic stuff, do you?
Yeah, we have in the past. Yeah,
In the past,
yeah,
gotcha. Well, this is actually a hardwired keypad, even though it looks like their wireless keypad.
yeah.
And they just got a new remote. Um, Actually, one of our guests here in a second may have some input on some RF stuff, but um, I wasn't sure what frequency their new remote was on. It's 433. So I was
Mhm.
showing people how actual software defined radio is helpful to have
Yeah.
around the shop. Have you ever messed with these software defined radios?
No, but I've had testers that you hit the button and then you hit the
Yeah.
button on the tester and it rings out, let you know if you got a strong signal.
Was it by chance the one that Linear makes that's just got an
Yes.
antenna and a speaker on it?
Yes. Yes. I still
Gotcha.
got it somewhere probably.
Yeah. It's
But I
once
haven't
in a
gotten that
while.
far into it, so
It's it's once in a while that you actually need something like that.
yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, but when you do need it, it's helpful. And then this was just me actually
Uh-huh.
clicking it, putting it to 433 megahertz, and actually seeing that there was something on there. But that's their new remotes. And so pretty much all of our channels are at TWO Smooth Operators. The most of the stuff on the YouTube channel is the comprehensive stuff. Every once in a while, Robert and I will upload something just directly to Facebook. But if you're
Yeah.
interested in checking out all the stuff we got, the new videos, new test equipment, but
Yeah.
those are the two latest ones. Those are the Fluke BK120 circuit breaker finder, which will help you out once every blue moon, but when you have it, it's super helpful. And for I think it was less than $100, and it actually worked pretty good. Like I said, one of the ones I was wanting was a more expensive one. And for all of you guys thinking about starting a podcast or something like that, or using YouTube for your marketing, there's what the analytics are on the last videos and stuff that we've done. I like to be upfront and honest about that stuff because there's just no secrets. So you could probably dig through some of this stuff with some free online tools, but I highly recommend you guys using this for marketing for your business. I have had a business in Dallas. I still get several phone calls a day, or excuse me, several phone calls a week based on the YouTube videos that I have out there. I've got the phone number burnt into the video. So unfortunately, I'll still be getting calls. But all my buddies that are out there in YouTube or out there in Dallas Fort Worth, they
get
can,
your YouTube channel going and put your business on it and let it blossom. Put some videos on it, some short reels, 1 minute videos, and put some content out there, and people in your area will tune into it and say, "Hey, I want that on that video." So.
Well, it still makes me mad because like I do all these videos and I put time into it, and then I'll find like what the manufacturer's website, put the description in there, put all these lower thirds in there and all this stuff. Yeah. And still the number one video that we have a week in and week out is your video that you just did a live video of how to add and delete codes on what, a KPW5?
Yeah. LiftMaster wireless keypad. Yeah. That's been a good video.
So. Yeah, so just goes to show you never know what's going to pop. So just put all that stuff out there, and what's been successful.
I got a video that's like 8 years old now, and I had a customer last year watch that video and looked us up, and I said, I want that same operator. And I said, yes, sir, we'll get it for you.
I got a customer that did the exact same thing. I did a little video for Mr. Fence Academy, how YouTube made me a $50,000 customer, and just 2 customers off of YouTube videos that I had. And they were just like a random video, like, hey, this is what you do to a CSW24 when you're installing it. You know, Danny and I put out tons of videos from the Dallas stuff, and then, you know, going to these expos and stuff, they really don't do much for me. But those ones where you're out in the field, customers still call. So,
and also the biggest thing about it, it's free.
It's free. And there are times when you get a new guy to where you'll go, hey, go watch this video. This is what you're about to do today. So you've always been helpful in letting me promote my classes on here. So I'm going to promote 2 classes just based on marketing. What you just said, in March, we've got a class coming up here in Duluth, Georgia. It's blue collar marketing. I'm going to give you your marketing social media calendar. I'm going to give you your 13 different postcards so you can mail those out for the year. I'll give you those templates that you can print out. And I've got a bunch of other tips and tricks that'll make the social media part of your business and the marketing part, including like 3-step letter campaigns that are copyright free that I'll have in that class. So if you're interested about it, just put it in the comments, and after the thing, I'll message you. Just real quick.
And hold on, I want to do a little bit of marketing too.
All right, go for it.
I'm out here at White Lake, North Carolina, at Golston's Beach in San Jose's Mexican restaurant doing this podcast. So if y'all want to come to White Lake, North Carolina, they got plenty of hotels and tiny houses and campgrounds here. And look up White Lake, North Carolina, and come visit me, and we'll party.
When are you're DJing up there right now, right?
I'm DJing, also DJ karaoke, and then every other week I'm gonna switch it over to live music, playing the guitar with a trio, and we sing live music and just have a great time here in this restaurant.
Yeah, I saw the last one that you did where all 3 of y'all were jamming. Well, the other class I got coming up is the unauthorized LiftMaster installation class. So we're going to do LA400, CSW24, and CSL24. And that's going to be coming up next week. It's going to be super, super cold.
Good.
So hopefully, I think there's 1 or 2 tickets left. Hopefully those will sell out because you're not going to be able to get any work done in this area. because from what I've heard, it kind of shuts down around here when the snow pops up, and that class could not be done without the help of our brother in arms, Andre from Wireless Weekend. I met Andre out at the Fence Show in Las Vegas, and he's got a really cool product. If anybody's ever used the Surefire product or Cypress's product, or any of those products that do Wireless Weekend or Wireless OSDP or RS485, Andre has a product that is similar to that, but a couple of cool things about it is you can add an antenna to it. Some of those manufacturers, you're stuck with the antenna that you got. And the second thing is that it's got a big fat screen on it. So Andre,
That's great, Andre.
You can
Yeah,
add the
nice
real
antenna.
antenna.
I can pick up some TV channels with that one.
What kind of antenna is that?
Ooh.
That's not an antenna.
Yeah, you can cut the bushes with that one. Just turn them on, hit your remote.
Well, I have the whole collection of antennas here to show. And Wireless Weekend devices, all the great things. These are pretty easy doing. It's like one-to-one connection. Whatever goes into one goes out in another one. So relayed, reader, button, sensor, all of it. And it has a screen, and you can actually have a lot of diagnostics and information there. It shows you it's connected, power level, everything.
Well, can you explain to us how it works?
So these two devices, they come prepared in the box. Here you go. One goes to the operator or to the door. Another goes to the central system. At this, if you use it with the access control, it goes to controller. Mm-hmm. And their connection established between these two devices. Here are my two test ones. So these two guys connect to each other, and anything that goes in one way goes to another. So, for example, this is a door. You have a button here. Somebody press a button, and the relay clicks on the far end. So you can use it for operator, for doors, even in some automation systems. And there are lots of different ways how it can be used. Frankly speaking, very easy to install. It goes from really high distance. And the way how to test, does it work or not, also very easy. You just take USB power bank, plug it to the device. It starts, connects to another site, and you go with it and put it in the area that you're supposed to check how far it goes. And you right away see it's connected or not. So frankly speaking, we've done so much stuff for it to be easy to troubleshoot and implement. Even here you have different screens, and you even see the chart of the signal strengths and all the great stuff there. If you really want to see that, there's your channel is actually radio channels quite used. We actually can talk more about that. Michael touched on the spectrum. If the spectrum is quite busy, you can have a lot of radio channels, a lot of different devices. There are different type of solutions how we can check them, like software device radio, the different spectrum analyzers. But for us, for Wireless Weekend, we build the system that way that it switches channels all the time, and actually almost jam-proofed in this situation. So jamming is quite rare and it's quite illegal, but it's still there is some questions about that. Can some that happen theoretically? Yes, the channel, we have 200 channels, and these devices constantly work on all of them. So if one or two of them busy, it will switch to another.
Okay.
And
what frequency is it operating at?
It's operating on 900, so it's from 902 to 928. So there are 26 megahertz of the bandwidth it can use, and there are more than 200 channels in between. And that's if anything happens on one or two of the channels, it will switch to another one. The situations when all these channels are completely swamped are quite rare and almost impossible. And frankly speaking, nowadays, this is the least used bandwidth and frequency. Most of the network already out of it. Everybody going to 5-6 gigahertz. They don't go to 2.4 anymore. So cordless phones are almost not used. So what you have here is like some Bluetooth, some Zigbees, and that's it, some LoRa devices. So it's quite well now. It's nice, and we really like it because it allows very good penetration through obstacles and goes really far. So the
Okay.
distance can be miles easily.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
So,
there-
if I purchase one and I'm like, oh man, I don't know what I'm doing with this, do y'all have good tech support for it?
Absolutely. So there is a very easy support portion with videos, and there is a nice manual. I know people don't like manuals, but that helps a lot. We have a chat, we have email, we have phone. But seriously, they come prepared from a box. Any input and output is labeled. Whatever goes one side goes on another one.
Yeah.
And it shows, is it connected to each other or not? There's a signal strength. So if it's 90%, it goes. So, and
Okay.
also, if you really want to see, you this screen shows any of your inputs. When I click on it, it shows that this input will engaged. Another side will show the same. So they are very easy to use. They're bulletproof. Distance is huge, and it's like a cell phone. It will show you the signal power, signal strength.
Hey,
So
Andre,
seriously, yes.
double check your microphone is turned all the way up. I got you cranked up all the way here. But yeah, I have come in situations where I've needed just to even extend a relay because I've had a bad wire or something like that. Do I have to use the weekend part of it, or can I just make it a wireless button?
Absolutely. So Vigant is just one of the protocols that it carries. It can carry Vigant, OSDP, RS485, bunch of other stuff, but you don't need to use it. Each of these inputs, outputs, they're independent. So we have, I would say, like 10 to 15% of our installations, people use just one button. From all of these things, just one, because they want to open gates really far through some
Yeah.
like trees, you name it, and almost nothing else can get through that, and they don't want to deal with the cable. Also, we have another use case for the installers. They just keep one box in the car always. When some cable get broken somewhere, they don't want to pull it. They just put these two things, connect two cables, one side here, one side there, done.
Yeah, I was
Relay
out.
button.
Yeah, I was out at a job on Thursday or Friday, and that's exactly what we had. We had a bad relay and a bad, we had a bad wire, right? And it was one of those things. Well, let's go ahead and put a wire above the ground, and let's see if that fixes it, and go from there. So we're still in the stage of that. However, this could fix it permanently right off the bat. It's just like, okay, I could spend 2 hours running this wire above the ground, or I could guarantee that this will, if it is the wire, that this will fix it. One thing that you made mention of is channels. You had said something about channels. So how many Wiegand devices can I have hooked up just to the one?
So here's like a small demo board. One wireless Vigant, two readers. So it supports two readers, two Vigant devices, and one side. So it's
Okay.
made for the that setup when you have a gate and a door next to it.
Gotcha. So two.
Two.
Is there any other model that does more channels, or just if we need more channels, you buy more units?
You buy another one. Because realistically, try to push more through a device like this, except two Vigants. It also has relays, request to exit buttons, door position sensor. All these things can be transmitted simultaneously. That's why pushing more through one device is not really a great idea. We limit it there. Technically, it can do more, but we limit it to have a stable and reliable connection. One thing that is very important is a delay. You know, when somebody pushes a button or swipe the card through the reader, they kind of expect the door to open soon. So
Yeah.
imagine this thing sends signal to another one sends it to controller sends it back to this remote device, and then door opens. So all that's supposed to happen quickly. That's why connecting more than two, not a good idea.
Yeah. So if I
So
live in a rural area and I got a long distance driveway, would that be something that would be good to use?
Absolutely, the easiest implementation, especially a rural area, you will have way less interference, much less things happening there. Like the only, and you don't even need the line of sight. You need a radio line of sight, but 900 megahertz goes over some obstacles. Definitely, it
Okay.
will not go through the huge mountain, but
Mm.
you can always, deal with that situation to change it. Like here's example, a small one. There are like bunch of different sizes of antennas. They're all 900 standards antennas. Uh, there are different ones. Lots of different options. These are omnidirectional antennas. So this antenna, that's exterior type, like 4 dBi is not too much, but it sends signal absolutely 360 degrees around you. If you really get to the end of some kind of distance, then it's great to actually, why are you going to send the signal all around? You'll better focus it somewhere. That's why there's those focused antennas. I showed this, what they call Yagi, the TV style antennas. They are very directional. They go straight. There you go. They have different. This is also very similar antenna inside, but they just
Yeah.
weatherproof. So
Yeah,
these
I've used
guys are
those
very
before.
direct. You point it that way, you point another antenna that way, down. You see how old it is? It's yellow. This is like
Yeah.
20 years old.
They've been
They're
around a
fine.
long
They're
time.
awesome.
and we can pick that up at the at wireless-weekend.com as well too, the antennas.
We stopped selling antennas because there are like 1,000 different options. So here
Okay.
the antenna plugging, it's a patch antenna. It's also directional, little less than directional than the Yagi one. And this is a specific size and a specific DPI power. Not always needed. Very similar to those long-range readers that people put on the gates.
Yeah.
The same idea. So that's why, like, we have a recommendation of few stores that carry tons of antennas. They specialize in that. They have cables, antennas. You're talking about hundreds of different styles.
Yeah.
And we
Gotcha.
cannot really carry that because, like, it's not going to be fair. We're going to carry just this. That's not going to be always a solution. That's a better than a small interior one. So it's
Yeah.
all about the power, how much power it sends, and
Hmm.
which direction.
Gotcha. So the biggest one that I can think of is that I would just need really a relocation antenna. Is that
Relocation and
yeah
a distance to
for
the
exterior?
device. Exactly. So you can
Okay.
get it outside, mount it on top of the box or something else. It's fine. This is
Okay.
quite tiny antenna, and size matters after all in this situation.
Yeah. They got
It
a
does.
song called "Size Matter."
Yes,
By
yes,
Oh,
yes.
that
Also,
song
so-
by
cable.
what's his name? That going, I just had it in my head.
I ain't never heard the song before.
Yeah, Nickel. He sings that
Well-
song. Tequila makes her clothes fall off. Joe Nichols.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't
There is
know
a
that
good
that's the case.
Rammstein song about size that matters. So here is a different type of cables. It's quite also a good quality cable. About the thickness, you can say they're way better cables too. So further you
Okay.
go, better cable is supposed to get. And we have like a whole article where there's recommendations about these guys. These guys make them here in US. Awesome. You can
Okay.
actually order, and they made it by size with the connectors you need.
So, what protocols does it use? And as far as Wiegand goes, what's the bit links?
All.
Okay, so all the Wiegand ones. And as far as protocols go, does it do different protocols? Can you set it up to do just RS-485 or RS-232 or 422 or something like that?
Only 485.
Okay, just 485.
OSDP, Access Control Secure Protocol, that's new Wiegand. It's OSDP, it's a secure protocol that runs on top of RS-485. So we transfer RS-485 and that protocol on top of it. And there are many other protocols, and like we're adding as we go some other things. There are some requests about some quite unique situations, so we can make that work. Though it's like by design, it already goes with any Wiegand, including LiftMaster, because LiftMaster, some of devices they have very peculiar Wiegand interface.
Okay.
We support.
But so our RS-485 is the physical layer part of it, but I can send raw RS-485 to raw RS-485 as opposed to OSDP, which is the protocol on top of the physical layer of RS-485. So
there is a limitation because these are digital devices and the amount of packets, it's radio, right? So it goes over radio. So if you stop pumping just data all the time, it's supposed to still packetize it and send it over radio. So there is some limit when it won't be able to carry. That's why some RS-485, there are almost not too many systems that work directly on RS-485, but it's possible to do. And again, if something new is coming, talk to us, we'll figure out how to make it work.
Robert, I probably see that like Cypress and SureFi and stuff, those types of companies make a product that's comparable to it, a frequency range and protocols. Have you ever used any of the SureFi stuff or anything?
No, I haven't. The ones I've used in the past were these Italian-made receivers that would get me over the edge. But since LiftMaster came out with their new one, I've been pretty much sticking with that one because I haven't ran into any problems like that. But I am interested in this product. What was the name of it again?
Wireless Vigant.
Wireless Vigant.
Yep.
We didn't name it. So like our first customers, we've been trying to explain that this is an extender for access control. It supports Vigant. Wireless Vigant. There you go. So now it's Wireless Vigant. It's written here.
Wireless
Easy
Vigant.
Screen connections. Antenna done. Small box.
How long has this product been out?
This is about 3 years. With
3 years.
No production.
And you have access control equipment. There's another separate part of the business, the access control equipment as well too. Just touch on that real quick, and then just tell me how we can get it and warranty. And is this information getting sent back to a Russian website or something like that?
Absolutely. These Vigant devices, they are connected to subspace signal. That's why you cannot jam. So
I was getting
the huge advantage of these things. They connect to each other. There is no cloud. There's no internet. There is nothing.
Amen.
They don't even know what time it is now because that's absolutely offline system, and that's amazing that way. And
well, that's what
actually
people are looking for. My customers, whenever I had to say you got to buy an app with a SIMS card, that's a downfall because then they got a $20 monthly bill or $30, whatever they have on their account. And they just don't want that extra bill.
Yeah.
That's a bill, that's dependency. Also, some people say security. We made it replacement of the wire as close as you can be without the wire. So point-to-point connection, they just talk to each other. And also about the security, if you use standard Vigant reader, here's the most popular HED reader with the guys who started this business. So Vigant interface here, if you connect, if somebody gets access to this wire, they can eavesdrop and read what's happening and even play and open the door and get your card number. So what if you connect this to our wireless Vigant device, communication is encrypted. It goes over radio, it goes over our protocol, it goes over encryption. So there is almost no way to interfere with that. The only way is to try to jump, but it will jump to another channel and connection will still go through. So wireless Vigant will get the Vigant secure in this case. Also, there is secure protocol, OSDP, all the great stuff. And why we know about this, because as a company, we start making, we're the engineers, we make different controllers. So we started with access control line, and we've been making our readers, controllers, these small devices. This is our reader. We have the same one reader controller. And our customers been asking, can you make it work further? Because this is actually Wi-Fi device. It connects to Wi-Fi and connects to cloud. It's a cloud access control. So, but because of the size and Wi-Fi, it cannot go further. So we made a bolt-on to that. End up being wireless Vigant. Now it's this current generation, because that bolt-on it enabled us to get it to much further distances, like gates, also historical buildings. You cannot really put cables there. Elevators. How the heck are you going to do that? You're supposed to figure out some way to put it through that travel cable. No, right? So also some screw-ups, broken cables, places with the concrete when they just pour the concrete and put the gate there, and then we need to have a lock, electronic lock on the gate to the swimming pool. Awesome. What are you going to do now?
You got a really cool video on I think your YouTube channel that is you taking this up in a plane.
Yes,
And
actually, that's a question. How far does it go? So we try how can we show? So we put one in the car and another one on the airplane, and we flew from Buffalo, New York to Niagara Falls to Canada and back, and it was still connecting.
Well, next time, come fly with me to Elizabethtown Airport so I can join the fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Much more interference, we would say. Though distance actually really, we did like 24 miles. But again, it's air, it's open air, and it's a line of sight, not normal situation. Though there is a customer who tried. They put directional antennas, not like this, but dish directional antennas, and they ran it for 58 miles.
Wow.
Not recommended, but still.
Well, we're going to have you visit class coming up next week. I'm not sure which day you're going to be there, but we're going to hook up some wireless stuff to once we get done with the gate operator installation part of it. As with any gate operator class, you have to talk about what's connecting to the outside world. So hopefully looks like we're going to have some snowy weather. I don't know what it's like in New York, but
I'll bring it from Buffalo with me.
What's that?
I'll bring it from Buffalo. I'm right here. We constantly have snow. It's fun. I'm bringing a little bit more with you to you guys.
Gotcha.
You can have
I'll talk to you at the beginning of the week, and I'll make sure that everybody has the link to your website, which will have the products for sale as well as tech support and installation guides as well too. So
absolutely, very easy to buy. You can buy through us directly. You can buy at Wesco.
At Wesco. All right. I appreciate it, Andre. I'll see you next week. Hopefully you make it here. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Thank you, Andre, for coming on Two Smooth Operators.
Yeah. Hold on, Andre. This is what I was wondering. Show us what that is again. Let me put this up. So what is this? This is.
It's almost the same as antennas. Some Yagi antennas like these lengths. This
is a weed eater.
That's a hedge trimmer.
Hedge trimmer.
Exactly.
Yeah, whenever it hits his remote, it hits his remote, it activates it, and trims his bushes.
Like a little button, and this thing works. Don't show that to Al Qaeda.
No.
All right, man. I'll have to get a product demonstration of that. All right, Andre, we'll talk at you later, man. So yeah, I'm excited to see the product. The big thing I liked about that is you could replace the antennas.
I'm very interested in that now. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get it set up there in wherever the heck I'm at in Georgia. Yeah,
Duluth, Georgia.
Duluth, Georgia. Yeah. So, anyways, we're running a little bit behind, but I thought that was some cool information. Real quickly, one of the things that's been popping that's given me some ideas is when I got new guys going out in the field and not having the chops, if you will, to handle just the basic questions from customers. So I was going to run a couple of these by you and see what your opinion of them was. And I think that this is just worth it in the sense that we all need to get a little refresher every once in a while.
I need one every day.
Do you?
Yeah, I need a refresh every day.
It seems like I always say the craziest shit to customers anyway. So
yeah, you got to be careful what you say to customers because they believe everything you say, and you got to be careful what you say and what the product can do. So you really need to know what the product you're selling, what it can really do, and then because if you oversell it, and then a few weeks go by and it's not working, well, they're going to be hot. and they're not going to be happy at all. So it's good to know all the information you can about it. And also, if you don't know, be honest about it. So, what you got there, Michael? I can't hear you.
I don't know how that got muted. I must have, when I closed my screen, it must have.
So,
jacked
tell me
up.
what you got pulled up here.
All right. So one of the things I learned this back in 2000 was when somebody says, "Hey, uh, does this do this?" and you don't actually know whether it does it or not. My go to answer is, that's a good question. Do you mind giving me a second to see if I can find out the answer? And I came up with just a couple little things. Here's one of them. I don't have the information at my fingertips right now, but I'm really glad that you asked. Can I get you back to you in just a 30 minutes or so with an exact answer? I want to make sure that I have everything you need so you can make the right decision.
What do
What
you
happens?
do after you tell the customer that? So, how do you figure out what it can do?
Well, that's a whole different story because then you got to figure out whatever it is. But the best thing is this gives you a time frame of when you're going to give the customer the answer, but then allows you to get the right answer. Because there are times
So,
when I'm telling the customer that it's doing this, but I'm not 100% sure. They may have come out with the new revision on the board or something like
so
that.
how do you get the right answer? What's
Well,
your
that's
next step you should do to get the right answer?
well in where I'm working at now. The next step is going to the manufacturer. The
Yeah.
manufacturer should be able to offer the tech support. Sometimes it's not sometimes there is not a manufacturer question. Like on Friday, the technician, somebody pulled up to the job site and says, "Hey." They were there to do a scheduled service, and the technician was like, "Hey, how you doing?" The guy goes, "Hey, I'm on the board. Do you guys do the touch-up paint?" And there was a whole thing about the touch-up paint and all this stuff, and the he ended up doing it, but he had to go to somebody back at the office to read the contract to see if touch-up paint was in there, or they knew off the top of their head or whatever.
Yeah.
What's your answer to it? Where do you go?
You research it, call the factory, or try your best to figure it out somewhere. How, like I said, you got to research it, call the factory, and do the best you can. And also, you need to um, experiment with the product, whatever it is, at your shop or home, and see what it can do.
Yeah, I guess that's where having a couple little test rigs at your shop come in handy. I don't know if you've ever heard of a dude named Tom Hopkins, but he's a real estate salesperson guy, but he's also just a general salesperson guy. And I took one of his trainings one time, and he pointed out, man, don't ever put your customer in a situation where they have to lie. And we do it all the time. One of the go-to questions is, or one of the things that we do is, "Hey, I asked you to read the contract. Did you?" And
Yeah.
most of people are going to say, "Yeah, I read it. I didn't go through it in detail, but I'll get it signed for you, whatever." But just don't put them in a situation where
Yeah.
they have to lie. So you frame the question to where they don't have to go, "Uh, yeah, I did set up the app. I did, but I was having problems with it." Or, "Hey, my wife was supposed to do it." That's not true. I asked you to do it and you didn't do it. So don't put them in situations where they got to lie, and you don't do it to your employees either. And this is a perfect one, which is, "Hey, I need to get started right away. Did you read the contract that I sent over?" And that is a wrong way to ask the question, if you ask me. And the better way to ask the question is, "Hey, I got your paperwork ready to review and approve. My customers find it helpful when I walk through it with them together, so we can get started on your project right away." And then the other follow up would be, "Are you ready to Are you ready to review it? So, and we get this all the time from a technical standpoint, which is what if the customer is wrong? And the customer is wrong all the time. And sometimes it's our fault. The office calls and says, hey, they're going to get done today. So I need you to be there at 4 o'clock so they can go over the system with you. And I talk about time here a little bit in a minute, but when the customer is wrong, you don't have to necessarily call them out for them. Just say that there's a different, you have a different perspective. So in this particular case, when the customer is wrong, you could easily say, I see where you get that impression, because that happens all the time. Somebody says one thing like, oh, you can operate the gate from your phone and that's it. That's what the salesperson says. But the flip side to it is you need a gateway or you need Wi-Fi to do it. So a way to put it properly would be, hey, I see how where you get the impression from. What I've found is that information actually is, or what I've found is it's a different way than what you were told. Let me walk you through it and show you how it actually works. However, you do also have the people that are super, super nosy. And sometimes you have to be blunt, especially when it comes to safety. There are a lot of people that want to get in your face right away when you're working on this stuff, and you have to be blunt. But this is a blunt way to say it. Interesting. Where'd you hear that from? Because now you've identified the source if you've got to correct the action and go from there. But the reason why I ask is because that information is wrong, and I want to make sure that we're on the same page so we can make sure that you have right information to make the best decision. So sometimes you get to a job site, and this is a big deal with me, is I need to do my general setup the same way every time so I can get predictable results. And the customer, you get there, the customer gets there at the same time, and they want to just start talking your ear off. Now, one of the ways that I solve that problem just in general is I beat them to the punch. I pull in the driveway where I'm not obstructing something, or it's easy for me to move before I take everything out. And I go up and say, hey, we're going to be blocking the driveway from 9 to 5 this morning. So if you have to get out, can y'all park behind my truck or park on the street and go from there? Now, there's sometimes where it won't work for whatever reason. There's no parking on the street or whatever. And then you just work that out. You're just both prepared that you're going to have to move. It's the way that the job actually is. So you just work with the customer to do it. But I go up there and I try to get all the objections out of the way first and tell them that how this is going to go. There's been times where there's kids, they get around the area where we're cutting and welding, and that becomes a problem. So what I'll do is I'll tell the customer, hey, my name's Brooks. I'm with ECA Gate and Lock, and we're going to be working on your gate today. Now, I'm going to be blocking the drive. We're going to be welding and cutting some sparks. So what I need you to do is, if we have any vehicles that we need to move out, if y'all can move them on the other side of the cones so we can get started working right away and try to get this done in the timeline. Is there anything that we know that we need to know that's been changed or anything like that? Are you guys going to be available on your phone? What time are you going to be home? I've been told that the gate codes needs to be set to 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that correct? I need your Wi-Fi password. All of that stuff that's an objection right away. Boom, knock that out before you even start working. What I have done in the past on new installs, I'm a big fan of having 2 people on the new installs, is that helper or the other technician goes to the customer and gives them that whole speech. There's no question of what to be said or anything like that. You literally just look at the paper and read off exactly what it is. So when you got somebody that's nosy, hey, for safety reasons, I need some space while I'm doing this. This one's a great one for kids. When you have kids that are running around, if you're doing a new gate operator install, I know there's people out there that can get them knocked out in 2 hours. I'm not one of them. I do my installations just a little bit different. So if I'm putting in a dual actuator arm, most likely I'm going to be there all day from 9 to 4, 4:30, or 5 o'clock, including follow up with the customer, making sure the breaker panel is marked, making sure that the gate operator is marked, doing the initial inspection, including reverse sensitivity, checking my photo eye, reviewing with the customer how to disengage the lock, giving them the keys, the manual, making sure my signs are all put up, and all of that good stuff, right? So at some point in time, there's going to be kids that are out there moving around, and that'd be a good reason for you to say, hey, they just got home, they're out there playing basketball, and the gate operator's right where the basketball is. And these are a couple more lines. I'll go through them real quick. Give me 5 minutes to get this locked in, and I'm all yours. I kind of like that I'm all yours phrase. But the other thing is to acknowledge that their issue is important. And if I'll give you my full attention, if you do X, I'll do this for you if you do this for me, and that's one of the things that you could do. Now, going back to try not to get your customer to lie, I don't want my employees to lie either. And sometimes we set them up for situations like, "Hey, are you going to get this done today?" Yes, I'm going to be done today. And then they go out there and find out that the electrician did not pull the low voltage wire. He pulled the electrical service over to some other place that wasn't it. There was supposed to be conduit there that there's not. We're digging a trench that we didn't know about. And the next thing you know, just to get electrical from one spot over to the gate operator now turns into a 3-hour project. Well, if you're only out there for 8 hours, you now just used all of that time on something that was supposed to take a smaller time. So don't get your customer to lie. Don't get your team to lie either. So the question of you're going to get it done today or how long this is going to take, don't put them in a situation where they're going to lie. What I like to do is call and follow up at noon and at 3 or 4 o'clock when they're getting the thing wrapped up. And a couple of things that you can say as opposed to, I expect you to get this done today is, hey, when you're wrapping up today, you want to give me a call back and let me know whether you got to go back out tomorrow to dial it in. It sucks. It's expensive to go out there on a second trip, but sometimes you just absolutely have to do it. And you end up taking 15, 20 minutes, and then you're all done and you go to the next customer. It just is the way that it is. But what has happened is you save yourself the warranty service call from having to push, and try to get the things done. Here's another line. What do you need to finish this up? Are you waiting on any parts, or what do you have? Or what do you need? And that's a good way to actually engage with them to say, hey, if I come out there and help you guys clean up and all that good stuff, will this make it a little bit faster? Now, I wanted to talk about some grounding and stuff like that. It looks like Robert's having some connection issue. I know that he was on his phone. I want to talk about some grounding issues. And there's 2 types of grounding that we're dealing with. I'm going to move my screen down just a little bit and go back up here to YouTube. So you should see, and you do, a diagram of a piece of equipment that has a ground rod connected to it. Now, read what that says. An auxiliary electrode isn't required to be bonding to the grounding electrode system. There gives you the NEC code, or have an earth contact resistance of 25 ohms or less. So in the gate operator world, we are dealing with equipment grounding, which is kind of what's represented here. It's not specifically dealing with just that. It's got some other issues that are some other things that it's mentioning as well too. So, but what we are talking about when we're talking about equipment grounding is relatively simple. The ground wire that's coming from your mains is connected to wherever it's supposed to be grounded in the equipment. That right there is as safe as it's going to get, right? If you have a neutral fault, it's going to tag the ground, and the ground is going to go back to the panel. Electricity wants to go where it came from. It's going to go back to the panel and trip the breaker. In theory, you have low enough impedance to where it's going to trip the breaker. And the answer is yes. I mean, even if it's 1,000 feet of wire, you still only got 4 or 5 ohms, or not even that on a 12 gauge wire. So it's going to trip the breaker. The other thing is obviously if you have a hot fault, we're not even talking about anything because now you don't have any electricity there. The ground and the neutral are bonded together back at the service panel. So that's not an issue. But what about providing a ground rod in the ground? Does that help? Is there any benefit to that? Well, in this part of the NEC, it is saying that it is optional. It's not required. Now, there are a couple other spots as well, too, where it'll say that, hey, you don't want to do this. But let's just listen to this real quick. This is Mike Holt. He's an NEC consultant, and he writes some of the books out there to train people on. But this is specifically what we're talking about. We're thinking that we're doing lightning protection system, and we're thinking that we're making this gate operator safer by putting in a ground. And NEC is not talking about lightning protection systems, and sometimes adding a ground can add a potential difference there and cause problems. So let's take a listen to this real quick. It'll be a few minutes, so if you're not interested in grounding, then go find something else to do. But I've got a couple of grounding videos that are very, very interesting. And I swear, if you just take this 10 or that's not even 15 minutes. If you take this 10 minutes and just listen to these couple of things, it will give you a different perspective of what I need to do in putting auxiliary ground rods. And this says electrodes in here because there's also different ways that you can ground it. It's not necessarily a ground rod, but it's like a big deal for these technicians out there. Oh, you got to put a ground rod on every gate operator. Oh, you got to do this. Well, it can actually, if the equipment is grounded, the ground rod can actually give an alternative path for an electric strike, or a lightning strike rather, to go back to the panel and back to the ground rod, creating an alternative path for it. And that pulse of energy that goes through that can actually damage the electronics. So let's listen to this real quick.
An auxiliary electrode, which the electrode isn't required to be bonded to the building grounding electrode system. See, all electrodes 250-50 have to be bonded together. Is that right? Well, not auxiliary electrodes. And it's not have to be sized with 250-66. The 250-66 tells you how to size the grounding electric conductor, but this is an auxiliary electrode. This is not a grounding electric conductor. We don't know what it's called, so there's no table. And it doesn't have to have a contact resistance of 25 ohms for a single electrode. Because some inspectors say, well, you got to run a wire to that. You got to make sure you put 2 ground rods there. You got to get the 25 ohms. I'm like, no, this is something I don't need to do. So these are the rules telling you, no, you don't have to do any of those things. You can run some Cat 5 wire and then, 16 penny nail or PVC pipe. You do anything you want to do. But industries sometimes think it's a good idea. Here's an example, Miami. I saw these guys driving ground rods next to this light pole. We were in June, and where did Fort Bragg.
Sorry, I was looking for these LiftMaster pictures.
Ground rod.
Oh, this is actually even better. I was looking for a couple of LiftMaster pictures just because I was getting them ready for class. But this right here is so interesting, where you see this wire that's connected. Actually, he's pointing it out as well, too. You have this wire, this whatever, let's just say it's, 10 gauge, 8 gauge wire that's going from the motor. All of this stuff is possibly all bonded together. The conduit that's going over to the steel beam, it's bonded together to this concrete pad. And what he's about to bring up is, you're telling me that this wire is going to somehow divert a lightning strike and dissipate it into the ground, as opposed to all of this stuff that has all these parallel paths back to the source.
A steel base that's welded to a steel frame.
Let's start that over real quick.
16 penny nail or PVC pipe.
Yeah, PVC pipe.
You do anything you want to do. But
Not required.
industries sometimes think it's a good idea. Here's an example, Miami. I saw these guys driving ground rods next to this light pole. We were in June, and where did Fort Bragg, where here's a motor. you know, to a ground rod.
Motor is welded to a steel base that's welded to a steel frame. It's welded to the rebar in the slab, and there's programming.
And an equipment grounding conductor.
Yeah, equipment kind of up.
Is that a water treatment plant? No, military base. Military base. Oh. Okay, so these are auxiliary electrodes. It's fine because it's prohibited. Eric, we're not going to get into the details, please. Okay. So now auxiliary grounding electrodes serve no purpose related to the National Electrical Code.
Robert, did you finally get back on? I don't think you did.
Which is what Richard said, right? Mara, you said earlier, practical safeguarding persons and properties by the use of electricity. You know, so if it fails, Eric, like you said, we want to make sure it fails relatively safely or attempting to remove it. But auxiliary electrodes.
So again, the same part of the code having to deal with auxiliary grounding electrodes. So I'm just going to say grounding rods, but even though that grounding rod's not true, because grounding electrode could mean anything. It could be the UFER system. It could be whatever. It could be a pipe or something along those lines. Auxiliary grounding electrodes serve no purpose related to electrical safety addressed by the code. Think about that one.
Riding a ground rod or something, it serves no purpose at all. Here's one. Somebody sent me this. This was, I think this was at Statue of Liberty in New York, where a guy sent me a picture that they drew up a ground rod and they kind of connected it to these lights. But you need to put a grounding conductor, right? But not in the sort of electric. What are the hazards? Well, EPRI, Electric Power Research.
So I'm not going to go too much further into this, but if you go to this website, you can see some of the information that they have and the data that they have in regards to hooking up CNC machines to auxiliary ground electrodes, right? So their evidence was that they caused more problems than not, as opposed to bonding it to the building. And although this is not exactly what we're dealing with, it is very, very similar. I think that image that they did just a minute ago where they were showing the motor, that right there, that's us. That's what we do. Not just because it's a motor, but because we have a big concrete pad. We are bonding sometimes over to the fence and the gate, which is connected to earth and can, if we have a separate electrode, can cause the electrical surge, that high voltage pulse, to not go in and on the equipment, but have that go onto the chassis ground to find another path to the panel, which is also earth grounded. It's just another parallel path that can cause electricity to go through these devices and cause issues. So that's one video that I thought it would be worth it to take a look at, to have somebody else tell you that just because your inspector is telling you to put a ground, you may not be required to. And again, or not again, I haven't said this already, you need to check with your code, and this is something for you to look at. I've been doing some research about this because of the area that I'm in right now. And there's no evidence that this area here in Georgia is anywhere near than any area that I've ever been in as far as lightning strikes per square mile. However, what is prevalent in Georgia is the number of insurance claims for lightning damage. There could be a number of reasons for that. It could just be the way that they designed the systems before that. It just a number of things that I'm not qualified to talk about. However, this is another interesting video. Again, what we're talking about grounding wise for us is just equipment grounding. The ground rods, depending upon how we're connecting them up, could give it a parallel path back to, through the equipment that we're connected to, back to the panel, and then back to the ground. To dissipate a surge, or not even dissipate a surge, but another path for electrical surge to get to. One of the important things I think he's going to bring up here is that lightning protection systems are not addressed. They are referred to in
the NEC, National Electric Code. If you are directly related to, or you're trying to find information directly related to lightning protection systems, that's NFPA 780. So if that's not interesting about this whole spiel that he's about to go into, which will take a couple of minutes, I don't know what is. Because what in essence they're saying is grounding rod is just surge diversion, right? Or these high pulse diversion. What we're doing is in this equipment is we're trying to do surge protection, but it is not lightning protection. Those high DC pulses that they have, that's coming from a lightning strike, whatever it hits and it's going to fry. So with lightning protection system, it's not necessarily connecting to that equipment. It's actually surrounding the equipment to give it another path. And when you're putting in ground rods, you could actually be giving a parallel path back through the panel and back to ground, or through your generator, through the photovoltaic system, back through or to your panel, back to earth ground, or back to the disconnect, back to the earth ground. So although these videos need to be watched in depth and have some understanding about parallel paths and stuff like that, I think it's eye-opening to suggest that sometimes using a ground rod will give a parallel path through your system back to ground, and that high DC pulse or that high pulse could damage some of the electronics in the equipment.
So anybody making a statement that grounding makes it safe, electrons are trying to go to ground, is false. Here's another myth. Grounding brings everything to a zero potential. This reduces touch and step voltage to a safe value. Absolutely false. Here's an example. If you have a pole that's grounded with no equipment grounding conductor, you will not clear the fault.
The important part about this is no equipment grounding conductor. When we're bringing our circuit out to the gate operator, we have our hot, our neutral, and our ground. And we're connecting that ground where the manufacturer says connect the ground to. So don't think don't get these two confused. Right now, the pole is not grounded to the system. So if you'll notice, there's a black and a white wire. You're hot, you're neutral, but there's not a ground from the system. There is a ground rod, which in this particular case is actually making the earth and the pole dangerous if there is a neutral fault. And in this case, I guess it's a light pole, and that gets energized. Your ground rod has now created another path for electricity to flow. But if you take a look at this, as opposed to it being equipment grounded and then shorting and tripping the breaker, if you take a look at this, it actually becomes more dangerous the more parallel paths that you have.
And you will create a voltage.
And I know this is boring, but you've just got to think about this when you just start driving ground rods everywhere you want to. It's not necessarily beneficial. Robert, did you get back on? I know you ain't got no video. Do you got audio?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, no problem. I'll just leave you on and we'll let this thing play. I think we got another few minutes of this, but I thought it was just helpful.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
I know that you've been dealing with what were you doing? Putting fences around electrical plants?
No, around cell towers. All the posts are grounded to the system with an OCT wire. That's
Gotcha.
3 foot, buried 3 foot in the ground, all the way around the fence.
So
and then it goes back to the electrical system.
And that's the point of system grounding, as opposed to just throwing in a fucking ground rod somewhere. But if you look at this closely, you'll notice that it's just 2 wires in the light pole. If it were grounded, if the pole were grounded from system ground, it would give a low impedance path back to the panel, which is connected to the neutral bus, which will immediately overheat that breaker and trip it, or whatever type system it is. I'm just assuming that it's based on the breaker's protections break based on heat. I guess it could be a fuse or something like that. So anyways, let's just listen to this for a few more minutes, and then hopefully.
Can you turn the volume up on the video?
Man, I think I've got it cranked. Oh, no, I don't. Sorry. Let's see if that's any louder. I think it's kind of low to begin with, but that's what I got.
He also said they were doing it in Fort Bragg, which is North Carolina, where I live.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
He
Exactly
might be.
where I live at.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go. I know that lightning's an issue out there too, and I think there's a death out there of somebody touching a fence or something like that. So again, what we're talking about is just throwing a ground rod on this pole, thinking that, electrons will flow to ground and therefore it'll trip the breaker. It will not. It does have a path back to the panel, but it's a higher impedance path. And depending upon the condition of your body and the earth, it may not trip. And I just think it's so interesting that the closer to the panel, the higher the voltage.
Gradient in the soil itself, right across the surface. And if you are 3 feet away, that voltage gradient will be about 75% of the applied voltage. So in a 120 volt circuit, 75% will be 90 volts. How does that work out? Well, this gets really, really, really complicated. So you might be like, I don't understand. Just trust me. You know what? Don't even trust me. Go drive a ground rod, put an ammeter on there, measure the current, go 3 feet away, realize it's 90 volts, 3 feet away, and realize maybe it's something you shouldn't even do in the first place because you can get killed. Yeah. So you got to really, really be under some kind of controlled environment to understand. Think about it. You're taking a 120 volt wire, you're putting it on a rod, which means the rod is how many volts? 120 volts. The voltage doesn't go away. You can't get rid of voltage. And now you stick it in the dirt. It's 120 volts at the rod, but it's 0 volts at the source, which means what? There's a voltage gradient, and it's not linear. It is this huge gradient rise right near the electrode, and it has a function of the resistance, contact resistance of the electrode to the soil. And this is in the green book, IEEE green book. I think it's 142 is the book number. Yep. And I think this is table 4 or something like that. And it shows you the distance from electrode, what the percentage of the resistance is. If you go 1/10 of a foot away from electrode, that represents 25% of the resistance of that circuit, which is the earth. If you go a half of a foot away, it represents 52% of the resistance of the earth. And if you go 5 feet away, it represents 86%. All right. Here it is.
This is kind of boring. I'll skip past this real quick.
What we're saying is that you drive a ground rod, it's 25 ohms. But the earth itself has 0 impedance. The earth is fine. You can use the earth as a conductor. Tesla, he's all in that stuff, trying to use the earth as a conductor, send out magnetic fields, right, the waveform, and be able to have it come back. The problem with Tesla is that it doesn't come with connections. The earth doesn't come with connections. So now you got to stick something in the earth. When you stick something in the earth, guess what? It's a high contact resistance. The earth has all these parallel paths. That's why the earth itself is a good conductor, because it has what? 8,000 miles of diameter of a parallel path, which is great. But the problem is when you make a connection at each end, or when you make a connection at one end, that contact resistance is high. And when you make the immediate...
Just take a couple more minutes, and I just think that this is a good point to drive home.
Connection to that location, what you have is you have very little soil right there. And then it gets what? More soil. Then you get more soil and more paths and more paths and more paths. Take a look at the graphic here.
I'm going to pause it right there. I want to forward it. Anybody can go back and watch the video on their own.
Yeah.
But I want to find this one graphic that he had with the photovoltaic system. And do you got very many customers that have generators out there?
Well, people's got a lot of generators at their house now, so, and I've
Gotcha.
been around a lot of generators, yeah.
So look at this graphic right here, and then we'll say that this horse has been beaten to death. Mm-hmm. An auxiliary electrode is not required by NEC. That's what we talked about before. And if installed, may cause equipment failure by providing a path for lightning to travel through the electronic equipment. That
Yeah.
right there says it all.
And
Done
didn't you
deal.
hear me say this to you before?
Well, I didn't want to believe you.
Yeah, but you believe me now, don't you?
That's it, right? So
Yeah.
Robert and I were talking about, and he said, you know, he's got property. What you had said was you had the proof in the pudding, right? Because
Yeah.
you had some spots where you would put ground rods, and you would have more problems, and then you take them out, and then you have no problems.
Yep.
Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. So I think that this graphic explains it all. Basically, what it's saying is electricity has hit the earth. You've created a ground rod in the ground, right, which has a bunch of parallel paths to it. Now, it very well could also be the concrete pad does the exact same thing.
Mhm.
However, if it's bonded or if it's connected, the same thing in this case, to the system ground, what you've now done is shot that surge through the system ground all the way over to the transfer switch to the panel and then back to earth. It didn't get absorbed by the equipment. That pulse shot out, and this was just another, and probably damaged the electronic equipment in there.
Mhm.
It shot through all of these wires back to earth. It was just another parallel path. That's all that it was. There was nothing special to it. Electricity hit the ground and found every path that it could to take to get back to ground. And it just so happened we provided a good path for it. Now, is this going to happen every time? I have no idea. Is it going to happen anytime? I have no freaking clue. But that right there, I think, says it all.
Yep.
Robert, I think the other thing that we also talked about was at the end of the day, we don't know. Unless you're going out there and testing the resistivity of the earth, you don't know whether you're helping or hurting or doing anything. And you were telling me that that's one of the things that they did out there at those cell towers.
Yeah.
So basically, what they wanted to do was probably find, they probably had some kind of measurement that said, all right, it needs to be whatever, 5 ohms or lower throughout this whole system.
Yeah. And
In
they
order-
were doing the same thing he was saying. To set your thing up, and then you had to walk 50 feet away or something like that and test it. And then that gave them their reading.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't believe it, but they were saying, so at that, if you have that example that they were using before with the light pole, if you have that, actually the closer that you get to the panel, the higher the voltage is. I'm like,
Yes.
well, hold on, it's further away from the short, but no, it actually has more parallel paths to get to the panel, and therefore the further away the higher the voltage is up to whatever the voltage is. It doesn't magnify the voltage is what the voltage is, whatever it was putting out. But I think those two graphics right there are what you could show your customer, is that, like, first of all, we're not doing lightning protection. That's not in the National Electric Code. We are doing lightning redirection. And just by putting a ground rod in doesn't mean that you're doing lightning protection. And it also doesn't mean that it's safe. You could create a situation like this where you've energized the earth around it and made it more dangerous. So anyways, that's what I got today, man. So I think I bored everybody. So
Oh, yeah, that's good. Good stuff.
Well, we could always refer to it, but hopefully that gets people thinking and gets people on the right path of, hey, what the fuck is going on? So
You ready
break it
to
down,
call it into this?
call it into it, baby.
All right, here we go. Thank you for tuning in to Two Smooth Operators Podcast. Your hosts, Michael Brooks and Robert Evers. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Also, tune in next Sunday, 5 o'clock Eastern time.
Somewhere
Thank you
around there.
very much for watching another